Welcome to our Savvy series. I'm Catherine Magaña here with Rachel Ivanovich. And today we're going to have a discussion on why millionaires still worry about running out of money. And so while you think, $1 million or even several $1 million is a lot of money, the assumption is, do I have enough? And sometimes what we find is some clients still worry. And so, or you may think, okay, I have $1 million or $2 million or $7 million and there's enough money, but the reality is you really have to look at how much are you spending, how much is coming in, and what is that money being used for? And so what we found is a lot of women they built successful careers, they saved money, they invested wisely, and obviously when you retire, then it comes this whole, I need to replace my income, and where's my money coming from? And so today we're going to discuss why financial success doesn't automatically create peace of mind, and some things you should be thinking about and considering.
And what about the emotional side of retirement?
Yes, and that's a whole other thing. Obviously, you're used to working your whole life, and now that's changed.
And so many of our clients come in. I mean, maybe you've been working since you were in high school, and you get the paycheck every 2 weeks, and you're used to that money hitting your account or cashing a paycheck every couple of weeks. And now, guess what? Retirement's going to change everything that you have been comfortable with for years and years. And so instead of earning income, now you have to rely on assets that you've spent your entire life accumulating. So you've been squirreling money away, and now I have to spend it. So every withdrawal that you pull out, it feels like this permanent decision. And every time the market goes down, it feels like it's a personal attack on you. So even people who are financially successful, and when you retire, you often will wonder, am I making the right decisions? Am I doing the right things? Do I have the right people in my corner? And it's honestly perfectly normal to feel this way, because retirement's not really about just managing your money. It's about managing the uncertainty that comes with retirement.
And so one of the reasons retirees worry is the unknowns. And a lot of the questions that we get are, do I have enough? Will the money last? And another question we get sometimes is, do I have to keep helping my kids?
Yes.
And so we realize that's a lifetime commitment. But then it goes beyond that. Then it goes even the grandkids.
What about the parents?
And then and then your aging parents. So obviously it's having all those decisions or things in your plan if you are planning to help financially with some of your family members. And so you also have to consider some retirements, depending on when you retire, they can last 20, 30, 40 years because people are living longer.
And you don't know how long you're going to live.
Yeah, it's like that. So you want to make sure you have enough.
Going for 100.
And you don't, exactly, and you don't run out of money. Another thing you have to consider and factor in is inflation, which is very real. So obviously prices are going up. We do factor in inflation in our retirement and financial plans, but it is important to take a step back and go back and revisit because maybe certain areas cost more or has gone up a little bit higher than expected. So it is important to look at, revisit your financial plan, and obviously the markets do fluctuate and things change with your investments over time too. But you do have to look at longevity, inflation, market uncertainty. And so that's a reason why sometimes I think some clients feel, okay, do I have enough and will this last? And the reality is, when you do the plan and you do it right, you should know the numbers and make sure that you have enough.
But you also have to plan for uncertainty and for those expenses that you can't predict, because typically things don't go as you've planned, and oftentimes healthcare is an issue, and that we see that a lot. Healthcare may become more expensive than you expected, and then we've seen a lot of people, they think that maybe Medicare is going to cover long-term care planning or long-term care, but it doesn't. So you really need to be planning ahead for long-term care because it's expensive. Oftentimes it's $10,000 a month,
or more.
It can be
depending
really,
on the state that you're in too.
Exactly. Yeah. It's really expensive, and family circumstances can change. So there's so many things that you really can't predict, and you need to plan ahead for the uncertainties. What about maybe you decide to help one of your children or grandchildren, like you alluded to, or maybe, like we said, one of our parents needs support, and you can't really plan ahead for this, but you have to be able to pivot and, see what's coming. And this doesn't mean it's a mistake that you haven't actually planned for it, because life just happens. And really the challenge is that many of these expenses, they can't be predicted decades in advance, so you have to build in some uncertainty. And So retirement planning shouldn't just focus on today's expenses. It should be focusing on whatever the possibilities for tomorrow might be.
So ironically, many affluent retirees don't overspend. They actually
We've seen
underspend,
this.
and it's very common.
Yeah.
So here you are, you've accumulated, you've saved your whole life, and you squirreled away all this money. And when it comes time to spend now, I mean, it's not uncommon that it's hard to, and it's interesting. But I think what we find is that, maybe it's that mindset of I want to save instead of spending. And so I do have those conversations like, it's okay, you can go travel. And
remember I had a client who came in, they said, I feel like I'm in the principal's office.
Yes, I know, you have money, you can go enjoy yourself. And once again, even in
Yeah.
retirement, there's different phases of retirement. So perhaps early you might be wanting to travel a little bit more and do more things. And then later you may decide, you know what, I don't want to do the whole European travel. I may want to go, in-state, or sometimes people want to buy RVs or rent RVs and do a little in-state traveling. And so things kind of shift and change over time. It doesn't mean, and you should plan for that, but it doesn't mean you can't adapt and make changes along the way. And so it's interesting when you look at a retirement plan, when you factor everything in, there really should be no guilt about what you're spending and why. And it was interesting. We had a client that retired, and when they retired, they moved to a new area. And the idea is they were going to go and, several times throughout the year, they were going to go into the city and go get nice hotels and, have that experience. And then COVID happened, and so then they didn't do any of that.
That changed.
And then, long story short, they actually ended up moving away from that location. So things change in your life, and yes, circumstances and things happen. But I think knowing that there is enough, and making sure that you are enjoying life, and it doesn't mean you have to go lavishly spend, but know that you've saved well, and it's okay to spend money on things that you enjoy. And so the purpose of building wealth is to allow you to have an improved life and enjoy life. And so we definitely think it's important to do that.
And it's important to realize that financial security isn't the same as financial confidence. And like you said, people have accumulated, squirreled it all away, and then they're scared to spend it. But financial security often refers to, how much you've accumulated. And then financial confidence comes from understanding that how your wealth that you've accumulated supports your future and your plans. So think about it. Two retirees may have the exact same portfolio, and one sleeps well and the other doesn't. The other just worries. So the difference isn't really in the amount of money that you have. It's about the clarity that you have about having a solid plan. And, also I think it's really key. Know where your income's coming from, because in retirement you may have several income sources. You may have rental properties. You may have income from your investments. You may have pensions. You may have a little bit of Social Security. But you really want to understand your withdrawal strategy and review your plan on a regular basis, because this can really create confidence for you.
So confidence is built by preparing for it and having a well thought out financial and retirement plan, and really kind of having a roadmap of, okay, what am I doing? And I know we've had this conversation multiple times, but that changes. So it doesn't mean, hey, I did my plan today, and maybe in a year you do want to revisit it year over year because your priorities or your focus may shift a little bit. So, but having that roadmap, I think, should give you peace of mind and give you that confidence, because it really coordinates with your investments, it coordinates with taxes, Social Security, looking at your cash needs, your health care planning needs, estate planning. So all of it kind of goes hand in hand. And if you have a solid plan and investment strategy, you should have the confidence and be able to have peace of mind knowing that you have a coordinated strategy in place. And so life changes, market changes, and your plan should be able to adapt with those changes over time. And you should have the confidence knowing that you have a plan that works. And so obviously, if there's kind of one takeaway from today is having $1 million, $2 million, $3, $4 million, we understand that
it's not a magic number.
Yes, it doesn't automatically give you peace of mind, but the peace of mind really should come from knowing that you have a plan and knowing that you have enough, and that you really looked at everything. Because once again, if you don't have a plan and you just kind of willy-nilly, then how do you know that you have enough that will last? And so once again, those are the questions that we get a lot is, do I have enough? Will it last? And, do I have to keep helping my kids? Which most of the time they want to,
Yes.
they want to help their kids. And can I spend money? And so we are happy to help or have these conversations with you. If you like a complimentary strategy session with us, you can reach us at 760-692-5700. And we want to thank you today for getting savvy with us about your finances. And remember to savvy up.
Please stay tuned for important disclosures. The opinions expressed in this program are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or any specific security. It is only intended to provide education about the financial industry. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult your financial advisor prior to investing. Any past performance discussed during this program is no guarantee of future results, and the indices referenced for comparison are unmanaged and cannot be invested into directly. As always, please remember investing involves risk and possible loss of principal capital. Please seek advice from a licensed professional. Savvy Woman Wealth Management is a registered investment advisor with the SEC.